Enviar nota de voz al group chat. Buenos días, ¿quieren desayuno de McDonald's?
Guille dice, eres la mejor. Un sausage McMuffin, please. Laura dice, sí, sausage McGriddles para mí. Ale dice, ya comí, pero me traes un hash browns, love you.
Mi colega favorita, Jill. Llévate todos tus favoritos de desayuno como un sausage McMuffin por unos pocos dólares, solo en el $1, $2, $3 menú de McDonald's. Precios y participación pueden variar, no puede ser combinado con un combo meal.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies. It's the Hangin' With Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now, your host, award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher. Who are you hanging with?
Welcome to the Hangin' With Web Show. I'm G.W. Pomacher. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, we remind you, go on down and hit subscribe. Make sure you comment on these videos. Don't forget to check out the descriptions for information and web links for our guests and our partners. We are here at Space Coast Comic-Con in Cocoa, Florida, and we are hanging with Vincent Roth, the executive producer of Surge of Power, Revenge of the Sequel. Thanks for hanging with us, man.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Garrett. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Let's talk Surge of Power.
Yep.
Okay. Tell us what can we expect from this film?
Yep. Okay. Well, this is a sequel, as the title suggests. This is essentially the movie
We're
poster.
going to go ahead and spin that up so everybody can see it out there on the web.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
okay.
And
this is a sequel to a film I made like a decade ago called Surge of Power: The Stuff of Heroes, which introduced the first openly gay superhero to the big screen. And it also featured 20 celebrities in the movie. Folks like Nichelle Nichols, who's the original Uhura from Star Trek.
Yep.
Lou Ferrigno, who we all know as the Incredible Hulk. Noel Neill, the late Noel Neill, who played the original Lois Lane from The Adventures of Superman. So we had 20 celebrities come join us for the first film. It was a feature film. We did our screening phase from 2004 to 2006, playing in film festivals and comic conventions. Then it got released in 2006. We did a limited theatrical release and then home video. And it's done its thing over the years. It streamed on Netflix. It was played on one of the cable stations. And so colleagues of mine kept pestering me. They're like, are you going to make a sequel? You got to make a sequel. Every superhero has a sequel. So we made a sequel, and hence the title, Surge of Power: Revenge of the Sequel. Fantastic. So we're bringing our gay superhero back and also introducing the first openly gay supervillain to the big screen. And this time we have over 50 stars in the movie. Yeah.
Wow.
And the first film was done a little more in the flavor of the Batman Adam West TV show.
Okay. So a little campy. A little bit
campy, yep, exactly. And the celebrities kind of popping in and out.
How did audiences receive the first openly gay superhero?
Very well. And the interesting thing I think about the sequel,
because this is a few years back now, so
this
is really before there's a mainstreaming in regular culture.
Yes.
So now you got the sequel. Now let me ask you this. I'm sure this is a question you get a lot. When you're making a film and you've got your first openly gay superhero, and that's sort of a great pitch line, how do you avoid being too campy with that, being over the top?
Well, for
or
me...
is that something that you just sort of, let's just do it? Let's get in there and make the noise with it.
Well, there is some serious storylines going on. So it's not as campy as the Batman Adam West. It's a little more serious than that. I felt that humor was a good way to introduce a gay character because I think mainstream audiences have been a little more comfortable with gay characters in a humorous setting. So like Will and Grace.
Will and Grace.
And I think Will and Grace's success was it was grounded in humor. And I think that's where mainstream audiences feel a bit more comfortable. And that's a little bit more like my personality. I know other filmmakers, they get a little more, they're more dramatic or they're darker or they do horror or whatever other types of genre. But I think more of like my style and my personality is a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more colorful. And so it's a more comfortable environment for me to be in as well.
Well, and I think it's easier for audiences to deal with uncomfortable topics if you make them laugh. And you bring that wall down and make them feel, like you said, like Will and Grace. You make me laugh, and then I stop noticing the thing that makes me uncomfortable, and I start becoming more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and realizing that's not an issue. Like, let it go.
And it literally, it goes from being, this is a key point to the character, to being, this is just a thing that happens with the character. And that's amazing. The sequel now, bringing all that back together again after many years. Mm-hmm. How difficult was that?
Oh, it was a huge challenge. It's kind of funny. People said, like, when I made the first
they all
film,
wanted to do another one. They just, oh, you want me to come back and do what?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. The director for the first film, he said, after we finished the first one, he goes, this is the toughest film you ever make. He said, everything after this is easier. And that was not the case. The sequel was a lot more challenging. Now, the first film we actually shot on film. 35mm film, widescreen cinemascope, like any big movie picture. Nowadays, everything's done in digital. Mm-hmm. You know, Star Wars really kind of like broke that barrier. Yeah. Like everything is done digital now. But it was a bigger cast and crew. The first movie was 125.
You have quite the. We're looking down here, and I know everybody will see. We have quite the cast.
Yeah. Oh, it goes on and on. We have 50. There are 50 over 50 stars throughout the film. It just goes on and on and on. And that, too, was a challenge, like dealing with them and their agents and such. So the first film was 125 cast and crew, including 20 celebrities. The sequel is 271 cast and crew, including over 50 stars. So it was a much bigger environment, much bigger production, a lot more people to work with. But, you know, they brought a lot to the table as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, for example, Linda Blair, who we all know from the Exorcist movies, and Gil Gerard, who we know as Buck Rogers. They play the homophobic parents of my villain, Metal Master. Because folk from the first film, fans, reviewers, people wanted to see more about the villain and why is he bad, and said, okay, well, let's explore that.
Wow.
You know, reviewers from the first film said, okay, well, great, you put a gay superhero up there, but you really didn't explore any issues. Because I was really more spoofing the superhero genre than I was dealing with. It just happened to be a superhero character who happened to be gay. It wasn't a gay movie. It wasn't a gay superhero. And
of course, it was 10 years before you could actually really have a discussion anyway.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that. I think 10 years later, people do want to see more. They do want to hear more. The mainstream audience is open. I mean, you even see this with, like, you know, racial issues.
Yes.
Obviously, we're dealing with that a lot more than society maybe wanted to deal with.
And in science fiction and fantasy and superheroes, we've been talking about those issues since the 50s and 60s, quietly. It's been metaphor. It's been, you know, now we can do it a little bit more overtly. And we have the freedom to do that because people are ready for the conversation.
You know what, Garrett? I think you're absolutely right. And it's interesting that you mentioned the X-Men movies, the X-Men comics, that sort of allegory of mutants being feared.
Yeah, well, it's okay to hate. It's okay to hate an alien or a mutant. And when we make it okay for a second, then we can explore why it happens. So if it's okay to be homophobic as a person in this universe, then we can explore, well, why does it exist at all? It's okay for me to be that way. So now that you've taken down my barriers, tell me why I feel this way.
Yeah,
that's an interesting way to do that.
And we've stripped out the allegory. So where the X-Men comics sort of like use the mutant thing as a sort of allegory to to homophobia and to
racial relations. And
we sort of stripped that out and we deal with it head on as people fear and hate them because they're gay. Homophobia needs to be dealt with, and so we're right out in the open with it.
That's really kind of cool, and it's really kind of interesting. You have the superhero, and the superhero swoops in and is known for swooping in and saving the day, and everybody loves him. So what happens when everybody who loves you finds out that you're not their ideal? That's an interesting way to put that in front of an audience and say, hey, what would you think if it turned out that Superman, wasn't a ladies' man?
Yeah.
How are audiences? What are you finding so far? People loving what you've got?
I think things have changed in 10 years. And, part of the reason why I have a lot of the celebrities and talent in there is to appeal to a mainstream audience who might not otherwise want to see, like, do I want to see a gay superhero movie? Is that a gay movie? Am I going to be interested in that? I want them to at least see, like, oh, there's these other people, these other stars in it that I've seen from Star Trek and from, The Incredible Hulk and from these other shows, and find other things that are appealing. But I also hope that here we are 10 years later, I hope that characteristic doesn't matter. I mean, pretty soon we're going to have, Marvel's going to be having a Black Panther movie, right?
Yes.
Black Panther was just introduced in the Captain America movie. Are people going to look at that and say this is a
resounding welcome to the team? That was awesome.
Now, are people going to say, oh, it's a black superhero? Are you going to go see the black superhero movie, right? People aren't going to say that.
That's true.
Right? They're not going to say that about Black Panther. So I hope that society's evolved enough that they don't say that about Surge of Power. Oh, the gay superhero. Are you going to see the gay superhero movie? Right?
Yeah, it is. I was just going to ask you, because that led me to my next question, which was, how do you avoid, in the age of streaming and online and things, how do you avoid being pigeonholed? Because nowadays, everything is categorized. Mm-hmm. So when I go to Netflix, I can see action, I can see adventure, I can see horror, I can see sci-fi, and I guess I just started noticing maybe a year ago, and it was only because I wouldn't have noticed it other than them pointing it out, that there was a new category that was gay and lesbian films. Mm-hmm. And the very first thing I thought to myself is, are those films made for gay and lesbian people, or are those films about gay? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that category mean?
Well, to extend that further, does that mean it can't fit in another category, like comedy or action? Exactly. Or does that mean it's only in that bucket? Well, Gary, I can't completely answer that, because with the first film, I did notice when it was in Blockbuster, it would be on different shelves in different Blockbusters. Sometimes it would be on action, sometimes it would be on comedy. Sometimes, if it was a big enough Blockbuster, depending on what metropolitan environment, they had a gay and lesbian section. So Surge of Power, the Stuff of Heroes, sometimes is in a different place, I guess, depending on where they thought it made most sense to place it. So it's kind
of the marketing guy goes, that fits into Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo.
Yeah. Now, how do I avoid that? I'm not sure, but I can at least say, here we are 10 years later, and we're just coming out the gate. We just actually premiered this yesterday. We just played this yesterday.
Yes, I know.
At the convention here. And then
what did the audience here think?
Very nice. It was very well received.
Awesome.
And we also played. This is our premiere weekend. We premiered at the Burbank International Film Festival on Thursday night in LA. And then I flew to Orlando Friday to be here for Saturday to play here. And one of the things that's really heartwarming is, here we are, the first several screenings out the gate are all mainstream environments. Yeah. We did a sneak preview at Salt Lake Comic-Con, which is the third largest comic convention in the nation. And then we premiered at Burbank International Film Festival, and now here at Space Coast. And the next up is October 1st in San Diego at a Doctor Who convention, San Diego WhoCon. Awesome. So these are not gay and lesbian film festivals. These are mainstream environments.
I guess the goal would always be that we don't have to have such things as a gay and lesbian film festival, or it just is a film festival. Exactly. That would be the goal, right?
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying I'll find it interesting when the Black Panther movie comes out. Are people going to talk about it did you see the black superhero movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a black superhero. I hope that society has gotten to a point where that doesn't even enter the discussion. Well, I think that 10 years later, I find it surprising that no one else has put a gay superhero up on the big screen. The only thing close is Marvel in their Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV program. There's a minor character that. And
I also understand not long ago, didn't we? I just read it in comic books. There've
been several.
Created some characters now in the last 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. They've altered some characters to give them a backstory.
Yes.
Green Lantern, I think, was one example.
And Iceman. They've adjusted. I think the first comic book character they introduced was North Star. He was already in Alpha Flight in Marvel Comics, and back in the early 90s, he came out and finally said he was gay. And so that was the first comic book openly gay character. But then
we learned something on this show. If you're watching this show, you're going to learn a few things.
But then they sort of tucked that away and they didn't really explore it much. Whereas, I don't have anything to hide in the Surge of Power movie.
There it is.
No one else there aren't comic distributors, trying to squash the message and stuff. And even with the character that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. introduced in the TV program, you hear about a man in his life, but you never see it.
Yeah.
Very sterile, very sanitized gay character. So, okay, great. You've introduced your first openly gay cinematic hero, but it's as sterilized as black people were decades ago.
Yeah.
You didn't see them in relationships. You didn't see, right?
Yeah, it was just sort of...
There was something still uncomfortable to mainstream society.
In those days, I think they just thought, okay, they're there, it's enough.
Yes. The tokenism.
Yes.
That tokenism is still a bit there.
So, now, let me ask you, you're filming a superhero movie. Mm-hmm. You're bringing 50 different celebrities on and off the set and working with all of those people. What is probably the most memorable standout moment on the set for you this time around?
I'll tell you, Linda Blair and Gil Gerard. There were a couple of seminal moments. Our final shooting day was probably one of the most exciting for me because we had kind of two scenes going on. One that was the beginning of the film, and later in the day was the end of the film. And the beginning of the film was a bar scene, and the bartender is played by John Newton, who is Superboy, and the cocktail waitress was played by Rebecca Saab, who was the original Invisible Woman from the original Fantastic Four movie. So this Marvel DC thing going on, and it turns out later that they're enemies. So it's sort of like there's this tension on scene. And then later in the day was Robert Picardo, who plays the male form of Nichelle Nichols' character Omen, and then Eric Roberts, who's our big star. We introduced Omen's enemy character Augur. So that was a big day for us because it was like these polarizations of the good guy, bad guy, and good guy, bad guy, and very prominent characters. You know, Robert Picardo played the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager, and Eric Roberts has played in so many things. The biggest thing that stands out in my mind after all the shooting and all the people was when we were shooting Linda Blair and Gil Gerard, we had a living room set. Like I said, they play the parents to my character's villain. And, we were having some difficulties with the shooting and such, but there was this point where it all came together, and the director and I were sitting on the floor, and Linda and Gil were sitting in their chairs, and it all clicked. It clicked between the two of them. And we were running through some lines and talking, and magic was happening. Even though we had some challenges and some difficulties and whatnot, and stress and craziness, but magic happened in that moment, and
If you were a box of cereal, what would you be? Believe it or not, somebody on Facebook actually thinks that's important.
Well, I would have to say Boo-Berry.
Boo-Berry.
Yes. Do I have to answer the why?
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, okay.
You got a Barbara Walters shot on that one. Go.
Well, first off...
If he cries over Boo-Berry, this is going to be a million views.
Well, because blue is the color of Surge.
Blue is the color of Surge.
Yeah, okay. And I love blueberries.
Very good.
Okay. And, when I saw the monster cereals, I thought the ghost was like, the little cute thing, which I hope I'm a little cute thing. And that's just the word Boo-Berry. Just sounds like, funny.
Yeah,
and cute.
it is fun. Yeah. It just rolls.
There's something sort of crunchy and sweet about it, and I hope that there's something crunchy and sweet about me, too.
All right, I'm going to look up here now. And all right, so what do you sing in the shower?
Oh, well, my character sings his theme song in the shower.
His theme song?
He hums his theme, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, while he's, shampooing. And
there you superheroes in the shower.
He sings his theme song.
That's right.
That's plays throughout the movie. And
I want you all now to go home and think about that, because you've all watched X-Men and you've Superman. So imagine Chris Reeves. Dun, 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 dun. See, that's what you want to see. That's right.
My character,
all right. So what is the last thing you took a picture of on your phone?
The very last thing? Well, so that it ties into a part of the experience here is at the end of the sequel, we sort of start to sow the seeds for a third film. Okay. And I invited colleagues of mine that have their own already existing superhero characters.
Okay.
And I asked them to contribute their characters to this one particular scene where Nichelle Nichols, in her Omen character form, looks up at their little magic portals, kind of like mirror, mirror on the wall kind of thing, and sees some other superheroes. And so they each gave me some footage to include of their characters. And their characters come from, one of them is called Photon. He comes from another superhero movie. One of them is called Nightseeker. He's in a series of caption novels.
Wow.
One is called The Pink Hammer, who's in a comic book for like the past 3 years. And when we were setting up the screening here, I asked them all if they could come here. And so I was able to encourage all the actors to come. And not only that, was when I got them to agree to come here, I said, can you bring your outfits? It would be great if we could all suit up and take pictures together like the team. And so that's what we took. I mean, I actually used the little photo area and we took pictures of us all suited up.
We got to have one. Get the Florida con auditors over there. Tell them we want one of those. That's going to be great.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah. We got to wrap it up here, folks. So we want to say a special thanks to Something Unique Magazine, Florida Book News, Famous Faces and Funnies, the Wordfire Press Team, Historical Miniature Gaming Society, the South Chapter for sharing these videos on the World Wide Web. We have been here all weekend long at Space Coast Comic Con at the Holiday Inn Express in Cocoa, Florida. Thank you, David Grace and Jake Estrada, for inviting us in. I'm GW Pomacher, and we've been hanging with Vincent Roth, the executive producer of Surge of Power. Revenge of the Sequel is coming to a convention or a festival near you. Look that up. Find out more about that. You can find the original probably somewhere out there.
Actually, Yes, it's on our website. If you go to surgeofpower.org, you can actually watch the first movie. It streams. There's a button on every page that says Watch First Movie. You click on that and you can see the first movie.
So look down in the description for the link to that. Remember, folks, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. There's more right after this break.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Starfall by William G. Collins, where the glories of ancient Egypt mix together with aliens and bloodthirsty vampires. Rigel, a 7-foot-tall star creature, announces to the pharaoh Khufu that he and his team have journeyed from the Blue Star to build a great house of ascension. Known today as the Great Pyramid, the purpose of the construction remains a mystery to the Egyptians. Nibiru, an exiled ancient vampire from the Red Star, is determined to destroy Rigel and his band of Lightbringers. The eternal war between light and darkness continues, and a final conflict will decide Egypt's future. William Collins' Starfall is on Amazon.com today.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. When corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well, an unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
How you doing, everybody? This is KG Bethlehem. I'm an author of a new book called Certain Moments of Time. It's a collection of short stories. These short stories range from post-apocalyptic, dystopian, anti-utopia, as well as general fiction. You can find Certain Moments of Time on sale at Amazon.com, where you can purchase the ebook format as well as paperback format. You can also purchase it at Lulu.com, paperback format, and will be on sale soon at BarnesandNoble.com.
Welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show. I'm GW Pomacher. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't done it yet, go down and hit subscribe so you can come back over and over again and see some fantastic authors, filmmakers, artists, comic creators, creators of all kinds. Don't forget to check out the descriptions down below for more information about our guests and our partners and all the great places that you can find out more about these fantastic artists. We are here online hanging with award-winning sci-fi actress Tracy Birdsall once again, and with director and writer Neil Johnson. And we're going to talk a little bit today about The Time War coming in 2018. Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It seems like it was like yesterday we were just talking about Rogue Warrior, and now here we are. You guys have been filming feverishly. So tell us a little bit. Give us the kind of the movie poster blurb on The Time War, so we can remind everybody. We talked a little bit about it last time, but let's remind everybody what it's about.
Me?
Go for it.
Okay,
go,
so
Neil.
it's a film actually I wrote back in 1995, and basically runs along the lines of it's Adolf Hitler traveling through time, rewriting history, and the problems it causes. You know, so it's not really a normal film under any circumstances, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be pretty controversial. It's not pro-Nazi or anything like that, but it deals with the relationships of Adolf Hitler with the rest of his family, including his daughter, who's his arch nemesis, played by Tracy Birdsall. And you know, Adolf Hitler is genetically rewriting himself as well to make himself a better man.
In his vision.
Yeah, in his vision. So it's a very big, complex, epic movie, and I mean it's got these giant submarines flying and doing battle, and tanks and stuff and
stuff. I love that. So we have Hitler, Nazis, flying submarines, tanks, time travel. What didn't go in this film, Neil? What? I mean, you threw it all in, didn't you?
I was just going to say, I was just talking to somebody else, and they asked me to pinpoint the genre besides sci-fi, and I'm like, it's sci-fi,
it's action, it's drama, it's horror. I mean, there's everything in it. But I think one of the key things, and then I can pass it back to him, is that there are a lot of things on this that are based on fact. Neil actually went back and did a lot of research. And like Adolf Hitler really was researching time travel technology, and he really was into the idea of bettering himself genetically. And even the relationships within the film are based upon his real relationships. And then, of course, it gets written, and it's not a true story, but it's kind of, it makes you curious. And the other thing is that Adolf Hitler doesn't think he's a bad man in this film, and Adolf Hitler didn't think he was a bad man. These were things that he was really doing. But you do get to ultimately see his downfall, I will tell you that.
Well, that's right. Anybody that wants to know about Hitler and time travel, check out the multitude of great interviews and articles online about the Nazi Bell and the experiments that went on there. You'll find a lot of material on that. Neil, what drew you to writing this story? Other than, man, you dream weird.
Yeah, I've dreamt. This is the sort of stuff I think about my whole life. So, as I said, I wrote it in '95. I obviously was a different person then, and I don't. That's a question I don't know if I can answer. But
well, it wasn't Adolf Hitler when you first wrote it.
No, but it was. It was.
Oh, it was. I thought that was a new development.
No, the original pitch was, and I've got the video. One day it'll all get released. Imagine Adolf Hitler travels back in time and starts rewriting history. Imagine you're pregnant with his son, imagine you're pregnant with Adolf Hitler and, you have to abort the child, but you don't believe in abortion and all that sort of stuff.
That's the prequel.
Yeah, but that was kind of where it was the genesis of the idea. And it kind of grew from there. So it always was meant to be that sort of character. Then what happened was then I sort of steered away from that because, you start writing characters and they come to life and you start falling in love with the bad guy in the film, and he's a wonderful character. You don't want him to be Adolf Hitler, but it sort of started building itself. Then I wrote this thing. It ended up we shot it 3 years ago called At the Edge of Time, and Rogue Warrior came out and it's done really well. And I mean, it's obviously available on iTunes and Amazon and everything right now. Plug, but it's such a big film that I just couldn't go backwards with At the Edge of Time. Not that it was a bad film, it wasn't as big and epic. So I started, talking Trace into shooting some extra scenes, and they sort of took a life of their own and it kind of went back to that original idea anyway. So it just became this whole machine of this big movie. And then I just one day, about a few months back, I was looking at it, I thought, you know what, this isn't a movie, it's two movies. What am I doing? So I end up splitting At the Edge of Time and The Time War into two films. The Time War is the big one.
When you get Xfinity Internet, Flex is included free, and finding what to watch on TV is now as easy as popcorn. This is a way better way to watch.
Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to get a great offer on Internet and add Flex for free. Restrictions apply.
Now is the chance to use reliable energy to grow your money with the Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. Our new investment product offers competitive returns, no maintenance fees, and flexible online access to your money. Make the reliable investment in reliable energy. The Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. To find out more, go online to reliabilityinvestment.com. That's reliabilityinvestment.com.
And it'll be out first, and the other one's the prequel.
Yeah, it'll be another film in the same universe. I can't be sure. Prequel.
Wow.
So there's actually two movies.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you've got, like you said, there's a lot of controversy. There's going to be a lot of really deep subjects in here, including, I think Tracy hit it right in the head, which is bad guys don't know they're bad guys. They really believe in what they're doing.
No, and that's the thing. We always demonize people. I mean, you look at anyone who's evil, in the real world today. I mean, look at Bin Laden, for example. Now, in his own head, he was doing 100% the right thing. He did some pretty bad stuff. But in his own mind, he was doing he wasn't evil. I'm not saying I'm evil or anything. Yeah. He was with God in his own head, and he was righteous. And there's many people who thought he was righteous. Of course, the reality is he wasn't. But that's,
We get to decide that after the fact, though. During, right when you're in the middle of it all, and particularly now you're dealing with Hitler and World War II, and now time jumping all around. So in the middle of it all, nobody gets to decide that until it's all over with, that this is really the bad guy.
how it works in the real world when you look at it.
Well, just imagine meeting Hitler as a boy, and he's a sweet little boy. He's a little bit weird, and yet he was in love with this Jewish girl in his early teenage years and all this stuff, believe it or not. But he was this guy growing up in this strange reality, this strange world, not like ours. And he was probably very sweet. He was very fond of his mother. He loved dogs. He was a vegetarian. He he hated cigarettes, and all this sort of stuff. And he had all these good sides to him. But somewhere along the way, he got corrupted, and it just went terribly, terribly wrong, to the point where they nearly wiped out. Well, they wiped out the gypsies in Germany were completely gone. The Jews were heavily decimated by his actions. But I'm sure he didn't set out saying, I'm going to eradicate these people and be the most evil man. He never thought that for 1 second.
And he was highly medicated by that point.
He was on drugs.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. I mean, there's been a few books written about his drug use. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know the downsides of taking, the drugs he was on. Nobody knew because we hadn't gone down that path. So he got a little bit messed up by his actions and by the doctors around him, by the people around him. I'm not saying he was ever a good person or a righteous person, but
certainly in his own mind he was. And if nothing else, it speaks to the human ability we can justify the most horrible acts if we think we're righteous. And it's a great message to have. Tracy, you had to play Hitler's daughter and his nemesis. But moreover than that, as I understand it, there are multiple versions of you in this film. So you had to play a lot of characters, all one character. How big a challenge was that for you?
It was huge. It was actually when he handed me the script with the rewrites, it completely boggled my mind. Because it still does. Because I'm so into identifying my character and all the things about them that are different. And there's literally 25 or 30 versions of her. So what I had to do was since they're being snatched through time in order to put an army together, I had Neil help me nickname them all. So I had to play them as completely different characters in order that I could get my mind around it because I was so the concept makes sense, but how to do it as an actress is very confusing. You have to put on all that person's tics and their attitude and their positioning, and it's like, how are we going to do this? So they actually have all of these different nicknames. We have like Francie and Eye Patch and Subcommand.
Well, what's amazing is it sounds like you've been able to do with that character, exactly what Neil was just talking about, which is show multiple facets of a personality and which ones come forward and which ones don't, which ones get remembered and which ones don't.
And some of them have been through worse things in their life experiences, which you'll see, and so they're kind of damaged too. Mm-hmm. And so being able to identify them by having a code name when we're filming made it a lot easier.
Wow. So Neil, and all of the research that you did and all of the different eras and in time that you got to look at while you were putting this film together, what was your favorite? Where would you like to visit in time? If I could put you in the TARDIS and send you there, where would you go?
Can I go with a camera?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
I can't send a filmmaker back in time without his camera. That's just unfair.
But what if there's no film? What if there's no outlets, right?
Well, it's not going to last long, but you'll have it for a little while.
Your computer to transfer the red card. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm always a believer in this, some sort of wormhole technology. One day we might be able to use wormhole technology to punch holes in the universe and actually go back in time and see things really the way they were. I would like to go back and see how Jesus was, for example, and if he existed and under what conditions he really existed. And, you still can't know the mind of a person, but it'd be interesting to see people and then see how that little germ of an idea exploded throughout history into something else and follow that.
That's such a completely different time era, too. I think it's hard for almost any modern-day person to imagine that era in time. Life was so incredibly different than anything that we know or even can fathom at this point. So that, and I can hear you in just a moment when I finish doing this. No, that's fantastic. Now, Tracy, we know that if you could travel back in time, you'd visit old Hollywood. Now, what would be the dream role when you got there? What role would you like to try out for when you get to old Hollywood? There are so many fantastic roles.
There's so many. All I can think about is in old Hollywood, I could have worked so often because there was no internet. There was no any of the stuff where it's like open to anybody, whether they're really an actor or not. There's so many people out there that I think I just could have like just done really, really well. I think I would have really enjoyed that. But there is not a particular role I hate. I always give you a negative answer with that.
Tracy, look, if we go back in time and Tracy's at those big meetings with the LB mayors out there, she'll take any job. She wants the job. That's it. She's going to work in old Hollywood.
I just like living the lives of others. So for me, the more often that I get to be on camera, I mean, Neil will attest to this. He'll go, can you do this tomorrow? I'll say yes. I mean, because I absolutely love creating characters and living the lives of other people. So I was talking to somebody earlier, and they're like, well, what's something that you'd want to do? And I go, I think the only thing I haven't done is be like an evil serial killer or something. I mean, I haven't been stuck in a genre, so I've been fortunate enough to kind of be everything. And that's my favorite part.
Now, Neil, we know that on the last film we talked about, on Road Warrior, Tracy did a lot of her own stunts. Are you still having her out there doing her stunts? How's that working?
I believe you are, actually. Yeah, pretty much. No major injuries yet.
A little bit of heat exhaustion the other day.
Yeah, it's been a lot of heat exhaustion.
Wow.
Climbing out tomorrow.
Now, you guys filmed in a lot of locations for this project.
A lot.
What kind of challenges did that present for you? Both of you, really. Neil, go ahead.
It's still a challenge right now because the problem is, because I said that we made the choice to split the movies up, so you have to shoot more footage. So I've actually got to go back to the UK and shoot some more stuff with Tracy, and figuring out how we do that. Probably in the next couple of weeks. What else? But I mean, a lot of the time it's we don't want to go to the same places we shot Rogue Warrior at. So we're doing things like climbing mountains. We've climbed a lot of mountains. I mean, a lot
of mountains.
And there's like bear poop everywhere and stuff. I mean, I'm looking for Bigfoot. It's in the places where Bigfoot exists, but I don't see it.
But I have a really good answer for that, and that is costuming. Because when we first started shooting, we were shooting in California. Then we go to the UK for 3 weeks, and we're shooting in 0 degrees in the same costuming. Then we come back here, and it's in the 80s and 90s in summer, and we're shooting in the same costuming. So it's been a real challenge because there's leather coats and there's all these things, and it's like, and we have to tie it in with the footage in the UK, so you still have to wear the coat even though it's hot.
Yeah, wow.
And the guns are huge. I go to bed and I've put arnica on my wrist because they're real World War II guns, and they're really heavy, and you have to act like you carry it around all day, and it's no big deal.
Wow. Now shooting a period piece, a World War II piece, are there location challenges in finding locations where you're not inundated with modern technology? You know, yes. You wouldn't find a TV antenna, for example. I remember seeing way years ago behind the scenes on an Indiana Jones film where they had to take out all the TV antennas in Cairo. So did you obviously face those kind of challenges. How did you overcome those, right on set?
Well, see, a lot of it, we are assuming that the technology has gone in a different direction. Okay. So we allow obviously we don't have computers, but we do allow certain things, which, and just different forms of things. So, a communicator you might have, for example, which could be like a cell phone, but it's just a long, thin tube. Or, there are tanks that fly with jet thrusters and stuff. So it's,
that's just cool. Saying, that's just cool.
And it's fun.
We push in weird directions. And I mean, because I do sci-fi, we're used to that stuff. But that's why we have to use a lot of England. Because they do have castles that are preserved. And
they had the submarine we used. Which film was that used on the other one?
There was a submarine that was used in Transformers.
Yeah, we
shot on that. We've got to find another submarine. So what we do is find those places where they're either abandoned locations from the 40s or 50s, or we kind of go to those preserved places like old submarines, like tanks, like old castles or churches, where they don't want those TV antennas and technology. So it's actually not that hard to do, and it looks good too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah,
we've shot in USA a lot. We shot in England a lot, and
all over England too, north, south, just all over.
Everywhere.
Wow, yeah. Well, we're going to throw links down below to all the work that you guys are doing out there online and all the different articles that we can find. They're talking all about this coming up in 2018, the Time War. We have the portion of our show, Tracy knows about this, we call this clickbait. I need a headline, guys. So let's get a headline here, and we're going to ask you some really silly questions that the girls went out to the internet to find. Okay. And then they morphed them and warped them and made them appropriate for this audience and this project. So, okay, this one's for Neil because he just said it on camera a little while ago. So you're out there on location. You've got to run in with Bigfoot. What do you do, Neil?
Grab your camera.
Grab the iPhone, start rolling, talk to him.
Talk to him. Oh, right. Well, we checked down Bigfoot's family, and now, okay, Tracy, this one's for you because Sage is grinning and giggling. So
I'm scared of that.
Me too. If you had a pet rhinoceros, what would you name it, and where would it sleep? Where did you find that? Is there like a rhinoceros club on the internet? Wow, that's crazy. Okay, tell you what, let's switch that up. What would be your choice of an exotic pet? What would your exotic pet be, Tracy?
I kind of liked the rhinoceros.
You like the rhinoceros? Okay, well, name the rhinoceros.
I'm going with it.
You're going with it.
I'm on board.
All right, well, name the rhinoceros.
I think I'd call him Baby, and I think I'd have him sleep in my giant bathtub.
Because you can't put him in a corner? Nobody puts Baby in a corner.
Nobody puts Baby in the corner and my bed.
Oh, outstanding.
That's the weirdest question I've ever been asked.
That's the weirdest question I've ever read. So we're on the same page there. Okay, so we love to get into your personalities a little bit, and we know we have the best soundtracks of a generation ever. So both of you, favorite 80s or 90s jam?
Me?
You go first.
She's going first.
Let's see. Anything by Duran Duran would make me happy at the moment.
Awesome.
I was into Pretenders, Hotels. I grew up at the beach, so Go-Go's, B-52s.
Awesome. We got all kinds. They're actually they're like dancing behind the camera, so they've got the songs going through their head now. So. That's right, absolutely. That's 100% agreement right there. So, okay, so I like this. I don't know where this came from. Some personality quiz. I'm sure they robbed for this one. Okay, guys, favorite color, and what does that smell like?
Yellow. And it smells like vanilla. And the reason why is it makes me happy, and vanilla is my favorite smell because yellow makes me happy. There's something about it, it's just so bright and cheery.
Very cool.
Favorite
Very
smell.
cool. Now, this is a great one for Neil, for the guy behind the camera. Favorite color?
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Yellow as well.
As well, both yellow. Okay.
I had a yellow sports car once, so the smell I'd associate with that would be the smell of black leather.
Black leather. Yes. Very sports car. You can actually feel. There's not that the internet knows anything about this, but there's a little gender bias here. She smells vanilla. He smells leather and thinks of his car.
I had a yellow beanbag chair as a child. It's one of my favorite things.
Awesome. See that? Now the internet's freaking out right now because they know from our last interview, Tracy, that you're not exactly the girly girl. We got vanilla and beanbag chairs while he's running around in his leather seats in his car. So, all right, guys, where are you guys going to be up the road? You going to be talking about Road Warrior somewhere? You're going to be doing a con after you get off location and get about 3 months sleep. Where are you guys going to be presenting this stuff?
We've got to go through post and marketing, and then we're going to get started on Road Warrior, the follow-up TV series. So I don't really think we've got a lot of time off here.
Wow.
There's no time off allowed. That's the problem. I've probably got to go see family for a bit because I've got family in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's very little thing. There's
we
no
don't
time.
take time off. Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible out there. I'm in post production the moment we finish shooting for the next 6 to 8 months.
And I think cons are a great thing to go to, and I'm sure we'll probably go to the next one because we missed this one. But they're a great thing to go to when you're finished with a project. It's out there, and you're not working on another one.
Yeah.
What everybody would really rather is we just keep working.
57 films coming next year because these guys are just monsters, man. They just keep going.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, when you don't have anything going on, then you go to a convention because that's where you are around your fans because you don't have a project right now, which is great. But I'd rather be working.
Working.
Yeah, the problem is, I've been on probably 15 Comic-Con panels, and I when you're doing all that, and on other people's projects and my own, your work stops, and I don't get more fans from being at conventions. I get fans by putting out quality work. So for me, the convention, I love it because I'm the biggest nerd on the planet.
Yeah.
But I'd rather go for fun.
Yeah.
We don't have to go anywhere for fun because if we go to a convention, for me, I'm in solid interviews. I've seen a droid go by. I'm like, well, take a picture of the droid. It's really quite difficult because you want to go be a kid. That's why.
We just came back from MegaCon in Tampa Bay this last weekend, and for 4 days, my entire social media feed dries up.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing interviews every 20 minutes for 3 days, and and then I walk outside, and my little guy is in cosplay, and I'm like, hey, well, who'd you see today? And he goes down this list, and I'm like, I hate you. You're 6. I hate you already.
That's me. I'm sitting there watching people go by, wishing I could be out playing.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, we got to wrap it up. We've been talking to director and writer Neil Johnson and sci-fi actress Tracy Birdsall talking about the Time War and everything else that these guys are doing. Time War is coming in 2018, which it'll be followed up by a prequel, and then following, which is what's the prequel again? Guys, we
don't know yet what it's called.
So. We only have a working title, so it'll change.
Oh, okay. But look for the Time War for certain. And also, guys, check out Rogue Warrior. You guys will find the links down below to all the stuff we've talked about with Tracy and Neil. As we wrap it up, we're going to thank our partners and our friends over at Something Unique Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Wordfire Press, Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason. And we want to say a special welcome to Heather Reed and the folks at Asylum Convention and Entertainment Services for joining the team just today, actually. So we're really excited about that. I'm GW Pomacher. We've been hanging with, once again, award-winning sci-fi actress Tracy Birdsall. Thanks for coming back, Tracy. We really appreciate it. And director and writer Neil Johnson. And they were talking about the Time War. So check out the links down below for places, festivals, you name it. We're going to put everything down there. And then check out our social media because we're going to tell you when this thing is out somewhere where you can find it. But you can't find it right now because these guys are keeping it on track. They're going back. They're shooting more in England. Find their location. Cheat. Be like the watchers on the wall. Find Neil and grab him. So, okay, guys, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you so much, Tracy. Remember, folks, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. There's more right after this break.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging with Web Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
From the imagination of author Kevin J. Kessler, the Rosinante dragons are no more. They have fallen into the obscurity of lore. Now warrior Valentine Beret and Seraphina, a magically gifted princess, are on a mission to save the world of Terra. Together they must face the Rosinante legacy and combat the greatest threat their world has ever known. In the end, who is stronger, the man or the dragon? Find out in Kevin J. Kessler's The Rosinante series on Amazon.com today.
Join author Gary Zeiger for an animatic short film based on his breakaway Stingray novel series. Watch this animatic short based on the novel Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever at stingrayseries.com. In Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever, Captain Epsilon is putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate while keeping his state-of-the-art warship Stingray out of their hands. Watch as the adventure unfolds in the groundbreaking animatic short at stingrayseries.com. Then, join the crew of Stingray with the next novel in the series, Stingray Prophecy, where Captain Epsilon and Dr. Zubre are pivotal players in an ancient prophecy. Can they reunite the people of two worlds before they destroy each other? To learn more, visit stingrayseries.com.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show. I'm GW Pomacher. thank you so much for logging on and tuning in to HWWS Web TV. You are watching the Hanging With Web Show, and we are hanging with filmmaker Shiva Rodriguez.
Yay.
Shiva, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So, first of all, how's Phantasm going for you?
It's been interesting.
Has it?
Yeah, I've been meeting a lot of people.
And not all of them were dressed up.
No, not at all.
No, some of them were actually like normal people. Those are the scary ones, by the way.
They are.
When you're at a horror
fun.
convention, the Jasons and the Freddys, they're normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy that comes up in like the turtleneck, and you're like, uh-oh.
No, I love horror fans. They're fun.
It's fantastic.
They really are.
The Guild. Tell us about the Guild.
Okay, the Guild was actually done as a 48-hour film challenge.
Wow.
The whole thing was shot in 48 hours in Richmond, Virginia. We were part of a horror contest, and it had technical difficulties at the end, so it never actually made the finish line because it got stuck in editing. So
this happens a lot.
It does.
I have entire episodes of the show.
It does. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Now, the ironic thing is we had drawn either dark comedy or technology gone wrong, and we chose to do a dark comedy, and we were joking that we should have just filmed the editor screaming at the machine and turned it in as a technology
film. And that's a day with an editor.
Yes.
My favorite phrase, they hate it, I love it, is my favorite phrase on set is when we start flubbing things up and I get a guest, especially a filmmaker, who'll say, okay, we'll fix that in post. And I watch their eyes.
Yes.
They get really big
that
like
is
saucers.
evil. Yeah. So what we ended up doing is my partner was like devastated, and I looked at it and I was like, we can add on to this and make it a little better. I mean, we couldn't fix much of the main thing. So I came back home to Florida, called up a bunch of, friends and filmmakers I knew and said, look, the premise of this thing is it's a guild for serial killers. So I thought, why don't we add, it's a guild for serial killers.
Because everybody needs a union.
Exactly. So we decided we were going to film some audition tapes of people auditioning to be part of the guild. So
oh my God. That's got to be hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
wow.
Yes.
Auditioning for the serial killer guild.
We had people that had goofy names like the birthday party killer and one
Did
of our...
Did he get in?
She.
Did she get in? Is she a guild member now?
No, she got tricked. Her victim was also auditioning.
Oh, wow. As things sometimes turn out. Never send the understudy in.
Yeah, we had the main actor from Virginia was actually my husband, and so of course he was there. So we thought, let's put his audition tape in, and we know he's a solo actor in the film, so we have him with a partner talking about how they're going to be the greatest serial killer team ever.
Oh, wow.
And then something goes wrong there.
Wow. What a neat concept, though. That's kind of a really cool idea.
Yes.
How long have you been into filmmaking?
Well, I started in 2008 as a special effects artist.
Okay.
I do a lot of the gags. I don't do the makeup as much as I do building the gags for, cutting heads off, stuff like that. And then in 2012, I also screenwrite, and I'd written a werewolf movie. Okay. And I wanted some directors I knew to produce it because on my FX bucket list was on-screen werewolf transformation.
Ooh.
And they looked at it, and they were like, we think you should direct it. And I had zero interest in directing, ever. I saw what kind of, hair tearing out they have.
Yeah.
And they threatened me, because the one thing I hate more than
I had zero special effects, just 2 chairs and 2 people.
Yeah.
And there are days when there are patches and because I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I kept, wow.
Yeah, so basically these two directors I knew threatened me. They were blackmailing me. They know that I don't like being on camera. So they told me.
It was act or direct?
No, it was worse.
Oh.
They were going to send my resume and sign it and, forge my signature on Face Off. Because Face Off is looking for females.
Oh, which by the way, coolest show on TV.
Yeah.
High stress.
Exactly.
And if you're camera shy.
I'm camera shy and I'm not a makeup artist. I'm an effects person. There is a difference. It's like I can pitch people off the balcony, but I'm not going to be able to make them into Frankenstein. So
I can throw Frankenstein off a balcony.
Yeah, exactly. I can skewer him. I can cut his head off, but I don't know. So I knew they were serious, and so it was like, okay, I'll direct this. And we had 35-day shooting schedule. I had to take a few months off to build the werewolves afterwards, and then we had to go back for a few days to do the werewolf scenes. It was my first time directing. I had no idea what I was doing. I told everybody right off the bat, look, first time director, I'm pretending to be a director. For some reason, somehow we got through it all. The film is complete crap, but it's got a solid story. We've got it finished. Some people really like it. Not with the way I wanted it to be. We had technical difficulties again in Florida. We had built them so they were robotic, animatronic. And they're sitting in my studio while I'm building other stuff, and the humidity creeps in and fries everything. So we had to turn them into puppets. And I had a team of like 6 people, and we're out in the Florida hot sun working these puppets with people covered in fur. So if they get caught on camera, you just see the fur.
Wow.
It was pretty bad, but the transformation itself I was happy with. We had to limit it because some things just were not going to work.
Yeah.
But, it was fun. I can say I did it. The film's actually up on Amazon, and the critics immediately ripped it to shreds and said I should never do film again.
Well,
and all that
I do want to point this out, and I know many of you on the internet won't agree with this statement, but I'm going to say it anyway because I like to remind our artists that on Amazon in particular, and on many, many, many of the available distributorships that we have as independent authors, filmmakers, whatever. These are not critics.
Oh, I know.
These are customers.
I know.
That's the polite term.
I found it amusing.
Yes,
I really did.
It is. So it is important to denote that, an actual critic sometimes has an understanding of what you went through to get there.
Yeah.
And so even if you know that what you did was tripe, and I know that some of the stuff that I've done was tripe, but a critic will at least find a nice way of telling you that.
Well,
a customer sometimes, you guys are just mad that you paid $1.99, and when you're mad about your $1.99, you are not kind. Is a good word.
That's a good word for it.
Yes, you probably heard a lot of words that you didn't know yet.
Now, to be fair, one of the directors that had talked me into directing, he had given me a slice of advice that I've always kept at heart, and I always tell other filmmakers when they get started out. He said, your first film is your film school. Your second film showed if you learned anything. Now, with a werewolf feature, I took the advanced courses.
It's true.
I don't know what we were thinking. But after that, my second film, my third, it just gets better and better. So when the next film I put up on Amazon, I put that up, and I haven't had any bad reviews.
See?
And I was like, wow, didn't you guys tell me that I should, not do this ever again?
Didn't you say something about going back to wherever I came from? Yeah. They are. So she has a card up there. It says "Father of Lies." I don't know why it says that. Would you like to tell me why it says that?
I will. That's the other piece that I have in festivals right now that's releasing at the end of this month.
Okay.
And it's a horror fantasy piece.
A horror fantasy piece.
Yes,
okay.
I am a big fan of Norse mythology.
Ooh.
And my husband and I co-wrote this. We have a full screenplay for it, and then we thought, okay, proof of concept. So it's the story of Loki, right before Ragnarok.
Wow.
And we have it, it's set both in the very, very distant past with the gods, and then in the future with people finding him bound and accidentally releasing him, and of course all the fun that goes along with that.
Don't do that.
I mean, if you see some guy who's speaking a little strange, tied to a tree, leave him alone.
Generally a good rule. He's probably tied to a tree for a reason.
Right. So the short is in festivals now, and I think its last festival was like a week or so ago. But we decided we're going to go ahead and release it for Halloween.
That's fantastic.
And it was fun. I actually ended up being in it.
What is your favorite part of filmmaking?
My favorite part of filmmaking?
Yeah, you've been doing this now for a few years, and it's...
Oh, my goodness.
You've got the bug, obviously, because you're still doing it. You're
Yeah.
still making it. So
I'm clinically insane.
What's that thing in there that is the spark for you, that you enjoy most?
It is so hard to make that call. I think a lot of it is just watching it come together. When you have the right cast, the right crew, the right situation, or even afterwards, even when we're goofing off at the end of something and everybody's happy, and we know even if something didn't work, and we know that we just wasted a whole day shooting something that doesn't work, if everybody can still laugh at the end and have a drink and chill out and say, okay, we'll be back tomorrow to try this again.
Film sets are great places because one of the things that they do when they're successful is they build camaraderie and community.
They do, very much.
When you are on a film set and you're spending that much time each day shooting and working out your dailies and going through your scripts. You're a part of a huge collaboration of writer, director, actor. Every grip has a role, and so you're building a community of people that you'll probably always fall back on for the next project and the one after that.
Not necessarily. I mean, I love the fact that some actors that were in some of my early work are now, doing bigger films out of the country, and I hear from them, they're like, yeah, I'm in Iceland doing something.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. It's nice to know, though, to be a step on that journey, right?
Yeah.
To say, they call you up and they're like, hey, remember back when we did that werewolf thing and everything went wrong?
Exactly.
And now they're doing these great
And then
things.
if they're in town, they'll call me, hey, are you working on something? Can I get in on it? It's
That's
like, okay,
awesome.
you just got done doing a big thing and you want to come in on one of my little shorts? Fine, come on over,
Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
darn,
Yeah.
No, I love the camaraderie of it, especially since in my real life I write and I work from home, so I don't get out much. So when I do get out, it's always film. That's my social life. So it is a lot of fun too.
It is. It's fantastic. That's our shut up card. Apparently, we have done our thing here. So we're going to say goodbye and we're going to say thank you. We want to say thank you to our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, Space Coast Comics, Indie Originals, Josh Bauer for all the set pieces here over at J. Bauer Art. Thank you to Cogler's Emporium and Embellish Effects. The Foxwood Wine Company, because after a day on the con floor, these chairs are cozy. Thank you very much to Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida for everything you do for the Central Florida communities. And our new friend here, Sherry's Bright Ideas. Sherry's responsible for putting this lamp on our set and letting us play with Scooby-Doo this week.
That is so cool.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for that. Thank you for logging on and tuning in and for sharing this video. Hit subscribe, ding the bell, and come back more to see who we're hanging with next. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, confession time. I just finished back to school shopping. Nothing like the last minute, huh? Kohl's to the rescue. I got 25% off a JanSport backpack for my son, $17.99 sew jeans for my daughter, and 50% off Levi's for both kids. Levi's, can you believe it? I even got $10 off because I spent $25 and picked up Kohl's cash. So, yeah, sometimes procrastination pays off. Select styles. 10 off 25 offer ends September 6th. Levi's coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.